What is going on, you guys? Bison back here with a brand new video, and today we're going to be talking about Evolving Skies. Now, Evolving Skies, a lot of people would agree, is like the modern holy grail of modern sets. And there's like an argument between like Team Up and Evolving Skies, which of the two is better. I mean, you have one side that says Evolving Skies is better. You have another side that says, Team Up is better. But at the end of the day, they're both great sets. But, today we're going to be talking about Evolving Skies. And, I'm just going to say this when it comes to Evolving Skies. So let me actually, go back to Evolving Skies. Yeah. Honestly, if you were those people back then that were hard-headed saying that it is overpriced, that it's not going to shoot up like crazy, or it's not going to perform at a certain extent, like to the potential it had, or you just listen to all the people that were saying, oh, it's too high, or this and that, honestly, you missed out. You missed out greatly. Okay, I mean, just looking at these prices, I mean, literally, when people were saying that Evolving Skies booster packs were going to stagnate in like the like $8 or whatever, right? Because I remember I was able to pick like a whole bunch of them up at $6 average, right? People were saying that, oh, it's not going to go crazy, or it's a waste of time or whatever, right? The market price for a loose booster pack at the moment is $17. Okay, now you scroll over to the booster box, it's at $866. Okay, it should have been a no-brainer. When it first came out, it like was skyrocketing to 200 plus. Reprint comes, drops it back down, and immediately starts skyrocketing after all that supply was eaten up like that. And not only that, it exceeded its all-time high before and just kept skyrocketing. And people were over here saying that, oh, it's manipulation, it's just people buying it out or whatever, that's just FOMO. And people were missing out. People were literally saying, I remember, like, I would see, I would watch videos and I'd see comments and saying of people saying, oh, I'm just going to wait for Evolving Skies to drop below 200. I'm going to wait when it's a good pickup. Well, fast forward. Well, I mean, this was like a while back. This was like, 2 years ago. But fast forward, Evolving Skies is currently sitting at a market price of $866. And those same people that were literally saying that this set is that the booster box is manipulated, it's not going to skyrocket, it's not going to moon, or people that literally sat on the sidelines because they believe those people and don't do their own research, most of those people don't even have a position in Evolving Skies at this point. Okay, and right now at the current market price, people are still saying the same thing. It's too high. Which, I mean, hey, if you're someone that doesn't have a lot of a disposable income to put into the hobby, or, has like a budget of what they spend every month, yeah, $866 can look like a lot. But at this price, I will still argue that even at this price, and I cannot emphasize this enough because it just frustrates me when people say, oh, I'm going to hold it for this amount of time, and then literally within 2 years, they fall off the hobby. Like a year and a half, 2 years, they fall off the hobby, and they don't have that same investment anymore. Then like fast forward 2-3 years after that, their investment that they sold at like a 20-30% gain, could have been, if they would have just waited more, could have ended up being, instead of that 20-30, could have been 200-300% gain, and it's just, I don't know, it just frustrates me that a lot of people, I'm not saying everyone, but like there's people in the hobby that literally have the opportunity to buy in at a good price, and all they have to do, like literally all you have to do with anything is just hide it somewhere so you're not tempted to open it, put it away, hide it somewhere, don't even think about it, don't even daily check where it's at, or if it's down, or if it, just leave it alone. Okay, just set a timer for yourself. Okay, you know what, I will check back once every year. Okay, once every 2 years, once, whatever, right? And you'd be amazed. Okay, obviously not once every year, but maybe every 2 years, right? That's like a better time, if you really want to, you'd be amazed at how much a booster box, a sealed product, mainly booster boxes, can just exceed expectations if you literally just make your own call, do your own research, and you say to yourself, you know what, this set's good, it has potential, I'm buying it at a pretty good price. You know what, I'm gonna put this amount, and boom. And Evolving Skies was that, and it still is at 866. I will still argue is a very it's still like, I'm not gonna say it's an insane price, right? This price, I guarantee you, if you look around locally or whatever, you could probably find boxes for like $800, maybe a little under, if they're selling like a couple and you make a deal with them and whatever, right? You could pick up these boxes at, I would say, at 800. Okay, those deals are out there. You just have to go out of your way to find them. Okay, and even buying at that, I guarantee you, if you buy it at 800 and you hold it for, I would say, another year, I could honestly see Evolving Skies like in a couple months. Who knows? Maybe even this year, but in a couple months, honestly, mooning past $1,000. Okay, I honestly can see that happening. Especially like, look at the Umbreon. This card raw is at $1,300. $1,300. Most recent sale, $1,385. Literally just a year ago, you were able to buy this card in like the mid 400s, or actually, let me check. Yeah, you were able to buy this card in like the mid 500s. But let's be honest. Like I said, if you're buying at a car show, you're buying locally or whatever, you could have gotten this card at like anywhere from like 470 to 500 easily. Okay. And even at those prices, even for the Umbreon, people were saying, oh, it's manipulated, it's too inflated or whatever, right? And people missed out. People missed out. And fast forward a year later, if you would have purchased this card at $500, let's say, you would have more than doubled your money, right? Same thing with the booster box, right? Literally just last year, this booster box, yeah, I remember. It was and I clearly remember this because I'd see like a couple listings, like on eBay, I would see maybe like 15, 18 listings where they were like anywhere from like 418 to like 480 something, like in that range, right? And even I saw like that amount of listings. I was like, okay, there's like some competition going around. There's like some price competition, right? And I was like, okay, you know what? At this price, I think it's gonna stagnate for a bit, but not forever. And we'll look what happened. Literally, it was like kind of in that little stagnation, okay, whereas in the mid 400s, and then it starts climbing, starts passing 500, and then it just starts climbing from there and reaches 600, low 600s, and then it goes up into the high 600s. I remember it'd be stagnating from like 665 to like 690. It'd just be in that price range, right? And I would check in just here and there, just for fun. And I'll be like, oh, it went up like 2%. Oh, it went down 1%, whatever. And literally in September, that's when Evolving Skies just said, you know what? I'm tired of stagnating. I'm tired. I'm just going to prove to everyone what I could do as a set. And it proceeds to go from 700 all the way close to 900. And keep in mind, we still have all of this month and next month, so there's a very high likelihood that Evolving Skies, like right now, it seems to be kind of a little stagnant, but there's a very likely chance that Evolving Skies might end up like by the end of this year being like the mid, or not mid, like in like I would say anywhere from like the 950 to like the 980 range. I mean, hey, there's a chance you could break the $1,000 ceiling, the 4-digit ceiling, right? And that's what I'm saying. At this price that it's at, because keep in mind, let's say you go out of your way to like actually, go and buy what. And here's the thing: if you're buying at this high price, you want to make sure that the box, that the wrap and everything is in good condition. Okay, that's one thing I will tell you, because for me, what sucks is I think like 2-3 of my boxes, one has like a slight little tear, and 2 of them like the wrapping isn't like perfect. But because I bought them at such a low price, even if I have to sell them like for 10 to 20, like 10 to 15% cheaper than the market price, at that point, by the time I sell them, that's it. that 10-15% loss isn't going to even matter on those 3 boxes. Okay, so if you're going to be buying at this high price, just make sure that the seal and everything is pitch perfect, right? But one thing I will say is, if you're able to buy them at 800, do it. But if you do, you have to stay true and actually hold them. Okay, in 2 to 3 years, guaranteed, you hold it for 2 to 3 years. Even if you're buying them at 800, you're going to be surprised at the potential Evolving Skies is going to show you, just because you believed in it. Okay, so don't be those people that sit on the side and say, oh, it's too high or this and that, right? Because it's crazy to think about that those same people that were saying that about Evolving Skies are the same people that were either saying that about Surging Sparks, or are saying, oh, Surging Sparks at the prices that at the price it's at, it isn't overhyped or it isn't too crazy. But then when Evolving Skies was, let's say, in those high like 160, 170s, they were saying back then that, oh, Evolving Skies is too inflated. But when Surging Sparks is at that price, they're not saying that. They're not saying, oh, it's too inflated or this and that. But with Evolving Skies, they were, and it's like, it's like I don't understand. I mean, because obviously you can't just predict how a set's going to perform in the coming years, or instantly, maybe potentially, but in the coming years you can't really tell, because like with Brilliant Stars, people were saying that this set is like top tier, whatever, and fast forward now, it's like struggling to break 200. But honestly, it has potential. Just give it some time and it will show its potential. But that's the thing. It's like I don't understand. Like, those same people will be on and off. One day they'll say a set's too inflated. They're not gonna buy it. And then there could be a set that's like crazy up there in price and be like, you know what, this is worth the buy. And then they buy it at that price, and let's say instantly they make 20%, right? And they're like, oh my god, that's crazy. But then they hold it long term and it just starts to kind of stagnate, and they're like, oh my god, this is a ripoff, this and that, right? And then there's another set, then the next set comes out, and let's say that set ends up turning to be an Evolving Skies or close to it, and then it does the same thing. They're going to be like, you know what, I'm not going to do it. It's like, it's always the same thing, okay? And it's like, if you were those people that missed out or chose to sit on the sidelines for Evolving Skies, I don't even know what to tell you anymore. It's like Evolving Skies has like all like the proof and everything to show that it is like one of the best, if not the best set we've had in the modern era, right? I mean, team ups. Like I said, it's that argument, if which is better between team up or Evolving Skies. But I like to say personally, not because like, oh, I have like a position or whatever, but like I truly do believe that Evolving Skies, like, they both have great demand, but Evolving Skies just has the better demand over. So it's like, okay, supply demand. So Team Up has less supply, but Evolving Skies has better demand. So, and keep in mind, it's literally being sold like crazy still. I mean, look, even at these prices, people are like, oh, literally look at this. Even at these highest prices, Evolving Skies is literally selling like on TCG. Like, come on, like, look at this. Be like, oh, only 5 items, or oh, only 1 item or whatever. But keep in mind, these are high prices. Like, because you need to understand, like, at one point there's like a ceiling where most collectors or regular consumers just can't afford it or aren't comfortable buying at that price. And I'm not saying to, like, I mean, yeah, you can save for invest, but at that point it's like, like, they're not able to. They're not in a financial position to do so. But the fact that Evolving Skies, even at this price point, is still selling like that, come on. And don't even get me started on the ETBs. Okay, I get it. For mainline sets, usually you want to avoid ETBs. But it's like, when a set's gonna perform crazy like this, like, okay, like everyone says next Evolving Skies or whatever, and for sure, without a doubt, right? If you have an opportunity to get those ETBs, get them. I literally got cases of the ETBs, and for one ETB, it's close, because I got the first print, right? For one ETB, the first print, they're close to like 200 market price almost. So essentially speaking, I almost doubled my money on them, because I mean, it sucks I wasn't able to get them when they were like, cheap back then, which I wish I did. But then I saw like the opportunity was there, and I was like, you know what? I see an opportunity with these ETBs, and I jumped in. Now, if you ask me now, like, oh, is there an opportunity still with those ETBs? I mean, you could go on eBay, there might be like a bid, maybe you might be able to buy a case for 1,600 for the ETBs. Maybe even at that price, I mean, there's still some potential. But honestly, between the ETBs and the booster box, I would just honestly go with the booster box. Okay, I would just go if you're able to find a booster box for 800, and you don't have a position in Evolving Skies, or you might want to just pick up a few more or whatever, or like I said, you don't have any, but you have the money to do so, and you're kind of on the fence, I'd honestly say go for it. But here's the thing, like I said, just listen and wait 2-3 years. And I'm telling you, you won't regret it. You wait those 2-3, who knows, maybe even sooner, but just wait 2-3 years from now. If you buy it at 800, you won't regret it. Okay, but the one important thing, make sure you buy from someone legit, and make sure the seal and everything, make sure the box itself is like perfect, like great condition, so that way it's not going to be like super. I mean, even then, even if like the wrap is kind of like it's not going to be hard to sell. It's just you're going to have to sell at a lower price, not insanely low, but just kind of like 10-15% off or whatever. So that's one thing that I've just noticed over the years when it came to Evolving Skies, is that almost at every price hike, people were saying, "Oh, Evolving Skies is gonna die, or it's just gonna drop off, or this and that." And every single time, it'd always be the same thing: it's gonna drop, it's gonna get this, and then the people that were on the fence of buying Evolving Skies, they would end up falling towards the, you know what, I won't buy it. I'll wait. I'll wait. I'll wait. And it's always the same thing with a lot of new people coming into the hobby, that are investing or doing this and that. They never make a purchase. They never make a move. They never make a play. They sit there and, they watch so much content. They'll go on forums and they'll get like all these opinions. And who knows, they may even do their own research. But just because one of their favorite YouTubers or whatever says like, oh, it's too inflated, it's too whatever, right? Even though, let's say you did your own research and you have like the proof and everything to back up that, no, this set is going to like climb up. It's going to do the opposite of what this YouTuber is saying. Just because someone big or whatever is saying like, oh, it's too inflated, this and that, they'll take that and then they'll be like, oh, you know what? They might be right. They take that, and then you end up in a situation where you missed out on Evolving Skies, right? Like it's so crazy, like because I'm not like in these like servers or forums, or I don't even talk to other content creators, but obviously like I'll watch content, I'll see the comments and everything, and I remember when I was buying some boxes locally, even the guy was telling me like because I asked him, hey, like honestly, like I'm gonna be straight with you, like Evolving Skies, like if you hold it, like it has potential to go up. But he said, no, honestly, like, because he bought them cheap. He bought them at like 140 a box. Like he bought them cheap, right? So he obviously doubled his money almost. But he was like, but I don't know. I feel like it's gonna drop, or it might be a little hard. And I was like, hey, we all have our own opinion, because he said like, yeah, it's because a lot of people are saying this and that. So I was like, hey, it is what it is. And yeah, literally, that sale when I was buying them, it was like in early 2023. I mean, fast forward almost 2 years later, that his 140 purchase would have been, in the high 800s, and it's understandable, because I know, I'm not saying this is for everyone. Like, let's say you buy, but you sell early on because you panic, thinking like, there's those people that panic because they listen to everyone, because they listen to the people, even though, like I said, they do their own research, they do everything, and they like fully believe that, okay, but just because, like I said, a big YouTuber or whatever says like, oh no, it's, and then they sell, right? They panic sell, and then, fast forward later, then they start kicking themselves, because like, man, if I would have just held it, I would have made X amount of gains, but obviously, I'm not, going to say this applies to everyone, because I know, trust me, I know there's other people in the hobby that have, investments, but obviously, anything can happen in life, an emergency or whatever, where they just need the money, at that moment, they're not able to hold it anymore. That's completely understandable, because at the end of the day, you don't want to prioritize the hobby over your own, like your own day-to-day like needs. Okay, you don't want to prioritize like paying like rent, your bills, or whatever necessities over like, okay, if I just cut back on this, I could get, like, no, focus on that. The hobby is literally the hobby. It's for disposable, and it's not like, like, oh, I'm gonna be literally, eating a bowl of rice every day so I can afford, like, no, you know. So like I get it, like, there are people that probably sold early on because they had to, which, it sucks. Especially, fast forward now, that early investment they made could have like been like crazy by now. But honestly, this is just for people that literally like a lot of people, what do they call them, the Timmies, that's what they call them. That's why I see a lot of like a couple content creators that I watch kind of throw that word around. They literally listen to like all just because a big YouTuber like that says, oh, this don't, this and that, right? And it's crazy because half of the time those big YouTubers aren't super keen on like the financial aspect with the hobby, or don't like do in-depth research, you know. um and it's crazy to think about how like they like, and don't think like back then when I was buying these boxes at those prices, it wasn't impossible. No, it was easy. Hop on eBay, you'd see a bunch of listings of just 250, 260, 270, 280, or like bids for a case that was super, like, it was so easy to buy. But just, I was mass buying boxes, cases, because I just saw. But obviously I didn't go all in, because the one thing I do investment wise is I like to have variety. Because here's the thing, let's say I have 6 figures worth of Evolving Skies, okay, how long is it going to take me to sell all that? Like, let's say Evolving Skies ends up reaching like 2,000 a box, right? And I have like 6 figures of Evolving Skies at 2K a box. Okay, how long do you think it's going to take me to sell all that stuff? It's going to take a pretty good while, you know? And that's why, like, even though I could have bought like a crazy amount more, I kind of held off and started investing. I forgot what set. Hold up. Oh, Lost Origin. Yeah, I think, yeah, Lost Origin was out, and then Silver Tempest barely came out. And I remember the cases for those were like, I remember the seller I bought from eBay, Sassy. I literally was buying cases from him. I think they were like 600, so it was like 650 after fees and everything total for like a case of Lost Origin and Silver Tempest. So I literally was just buying those cases, and then Brilliant Stars 2, and a bit of Chilling Reign, and then obviously Evolving Skies. So I was kind of just diversifying. But with Evolving Skies, I was literally just sitting there, because I remember I was sick at the time too. So I had like, I wasn't working for like a week because I was off, because, I was sick. And when I was doing at that time, I was literally wondering, like, I was like, why are so many people skipping out on Evolving Skies? Like, do people like not like, obviously there's some people that saw the opportunity and took it and ran off with it, but there was a large group that were just like, oh no, it's overpriced or whatever. And then it's like, fast forward now, it's like what happened? And those same people are probably to this day still saying the same thing. Oh, it's too high, it's too inflated. Okay. Literally, fast forward, okay, we could come back 2-3 years, from now, from the time of this video, and then we'll do a comparison of where Evolving Skies is as specifically the booster box. I mean, we could look at the ETBs too, but specifically the booster box. Okay, if someone here does end up buying it for like 800, or or you could comment down if you did buy Evolving Skies recently, let's say in the mid 700s or low 800s, okay, and you plan on holding for some time, okay, someone just please, obviously I'm still going to have my investment. Fast forward 2 to 3 years later from now, if you did buy, and just, we'll see where it's at. Okay, we'll see where it's at. Obviously people could say, oh, instead of buying Evolving Skies, you could buy a case of this, or, it's like this and that. And it's like, you could, but at the end of the day, this is where it gets a little more tricky, is what's going to perform better, because obviously, like I said, you can't compare, one and one, like, oh, just because this, but let's say hypothetically, Evolving Skies did pull a team up, because it's like, it's honestly scary to think about. But Team Up released, if I'm not mistaken, in 2019. Okay, hold up. Give me a second. I'm 29. It had to be, yeah. Okay, 2019. So 2022, I remember, was when the Evolving Skies booster box. I was buying mass quantity of them. So, oh wow, okay, almost 4 years later, the booster boxes for Team Up were like in the mid 800s, like 850 to 900, right? And then literally within a year and a half, it climbed. It mooned. Evolving Skies is literally like a little more than whoops, I accidentally clicked out of it. Evolving Skies is literally a little over 3 years old. It's like almost in like the same position that the Team Up was in. That's like kind of scary when you put it like that, because it's the same situation. It's almost December. I remember this is when I was buying them. Team Up, I remember I was looking at Team Up. Same thing, how Evolving Skies is right now is the same thing that Team Up was in. And I'm not trying to say that it's gonna pull a 1-to-1 of Team Up, but with just how much like demand this set has and how crazy of a set is, especially like I said, it's like always a debate between Team Up and Evolving Skies, like which is like the modern, the modern Grail, the modern Grail booster box or whatever, right? Evolving Skies is in that same position. Okay, that's one thing to think about. So let's say hypothetically it does pull a Team Up, but let's say at a bit of a smaller scale, right? Let's say it doesn't moon to this value, but what if it ends up mooning to 1800, 2000, or who knows? What if it somehow ends up surpassing Team Up? Because, okay, what's happening with Prismatic Evolutions, especially with Surging Sparks, is something that does not happen. Okay, literally back then, you didn't have to be buying pre-sale 2 months before. Okay, so really anything can happen in this hobby, especially with this market. So like, keep in mind back then there was a lot of cards. And Team Up, I can't remember the specific cards, but literally the hits were different back then. If I'm not mistaken, the Latios and Latios was in the top chase of Team Up back then. And then fast forward now, yeah, it just completely skyrocketed. So, who knows? You could have that thought in mind of like, what if Evolving Skies doesn't just stay under Team Up? What if it matches? What if it beats Team Up? Who knows? It could be possible. It could be possible a couple years from now, maybe. But I mean, it's just, the thing is, Team Up, like, the short print it had is what really helps it out. That, like, same thing with a lot of older booster boxes from the Diamond and Pearl, Platinum, Heart Gold era, Black and White. It's because they were so, like, they weren't printed that much. Even though there's nothing like crazy in a lot of those sets, the booster boxes are worth thousands. Obviously they released over a decade ago, but keep in mind they were short printed. They weren't really made that much compared to now, where nowadays, booster boxes are printed way more than back then. So that's the thing that Team Up has, and it's like when it gets to a point where there isn't that much of it on the market, and let's say the market price for Team Up ends up being like 4,000, right? Or let's say right now, right? Okay, let's take this into account. Let's say market price to 2,500, and this is the lowest on TCG Player, all right? 4,000, and then it goes to 4,500. Let's say, like, just for the sake of this example, let's say there was only 3 listings: 4,000, 4,500, and then 6,000. But the market price is 2,500. But let's say you really, really want Team Up, okay? Let's say you really want the booster box, okay? And you have the money to buy it. You're in that position and everything. In that case, more times than not, people will buy that $4,000 box, because there's that fear where, and I've seen this happen too personally, where you say, "Oh, I'm gonna wait. Maybe some might come on the market and it'll be cheaper." But no, that 4,000 ends up being bought by someone else, and they're like, "Oh man, I have to pay $500 more," and then you're stuck in that thing. Like, okay, should I just wait to go back to 4,000, or should I buy this one? And then at that point, people will buy it. But let's say you wait and someone else buys it, then it jumps to 6,000. And it's like, that's the thing. Like, the lower it gets, even if the market price is lower than what people are asking for, just because it's so like there's like so little supply, you're kind of forced to buy it at that price, or you can negotiate it down, but you're not going to be getting it at market price, you know? So that's the thing that Team Up has going for it. With Evolving Skies, even though it has more supply, it has the demand, you know, and all that supply is being eaten up like crazy, especially because they're not going to reprint it. I'm pretty sure like at this point it's out of rotation. Okay. So that's one thing with Evolving Skies. If you know, if you're someone that's on the fence, you're in the position to do so, to, you know, to be able to buy, and it's not going to break the bank or whatever, and you don't have any positions, or you have like maybe a few boxes, and you're thinking about it, honestly, buy it at 800 if you're able to just make sure the wrapping and everything is good. And I'm telling you, fast forward 2 to 3 years from now, okay? Time stamp it. Whenever I upload this video, check back 2 to 3 years. Who knows, maybe even sooner than that. And you'll be surprised, you know. And like I said before, you can always do your own research and say, oh, you know, instead of buying Evolving Skies, what if I buy a different product, and, you know, maybe I could do a quick flip, or, you know, there's all that stuff. But if you're someone that's just set on investing in Evolving Skies, you just want to have one, you want to have a position in it, now's the time to buy, because it's not going to get any cheaper. Don't be those people back then that were literally like, you know, like, oh no, it's going to get reprinted. Oh no, it's going to drop. Or they literally they'd be so like set on like, okay, at this point you can't say they were like fully confident, but they have their research, they do whatever, right? And they'd be like, you know what? I have faith in Evolving Skies. But just for them to come across a video of someone saying like, oh, it's too inflated or whatever, and then they don't even have any like really like proof or whatever to back up what they're saying, but then they listen to them just because they're a big YouTuber or whatever, and then because they listened to them, they missed out on a big opportunity. Like, it's just if you were around even before that with Evolving Skies, like, you can let me know if you've ran into these people that literally were saying like, Evolving Skies is too hyped, it's too inflated, the price is too crazy. Like, I guarantee you, anyone that has a position, who knows, maybe some people watching this might have been those same people, and who knows, they might have that same that same thing, you know, um, that same opinion of like, oh, it's still too high, or who knows, they might have switched up. They might be like, you know what, now I see the potential that Evolving Skies has, you know. So that's all I'm gonna say. ETBs, I mean, if you're able to get them at a good price, it's just they're gonna be a little more sluggish. They will go up. I do see them. I plan on holding mine for a good time too. I do see them going up. So if you're able to get them at a good price, it's up. But the main priority, mainline sets, booster boxes are always like the best, you know, best area to put your money in sealed products. So obviously go for the booster box. Okay. Um, you know, go for the booster box. I'm telling you, if you look locally or whatever, you know, you'll be able to find it for like 800, maybe below that, who knows. But if you really like look, you will be able to find some, because obviously some people right now might be selling off all their positions, which might be a few boxes, or maybe some people are taking unrealized gains, so they'll be selling some boxes, but they're holding on to some still. So now's the time. Don't wait on it, okay? Because Evolving Skies isn't going to wait for you. You know, whether you choose to believe it or not, it's going to take off with or without you. So if you're someone that's really like, you know, you don't have a position, you're wondering what to do, like you're on the fence, I'd say go for it. You know, as for me, you know, if you're wondering what I would do, I mean, I already have like I said, I have a pretty sizable amount of booster boxes, and like I said before, I don't want it to be where I have so many, but then like, yes, it's gonna have demand and everything, but if I have like so much booster boxes, so many cases, and I literally have to go through, like, it's gonna take a while to sell them, especially because keep in mind, in this hobby there's like price points where like the amount of consumers that can afford it starts to fall off. That's one thing to think about. But like, if you're someone that literally only has a few boxes, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, especially if you sell a little bit under market price, boom, it'll go like that. So for me, I'm just gonna be holding my money for the new sets, because I already have a pretty good position in Evolving Skies for booster boxes, so, and ETBs. So if you're someone that doesn't have a position, or is thinking, or is on the fence, buy it. Go, just put in the work, put in the effort, you'll find one maybe locally or whatever for 800 or a little bit under. Just make sure the wrap and everything is good. Make sure the box is legit and whatever, because there are people that to this day for some reason still sell fake boxes at a high price thinking they'll get away with it. But at this point, I'm glad that the hobby got to the point where more people, even the younger folks in this hobby, are more knowledgeable when it comes to fakes, which is good. I mean, I would hopefully hope so. If you're like literally, I would hope so if you're literally buying at these high prices. So that's my call. Like I said, feel free 2-3 years, check back on this video, maybe even before then. Who knows? Maybe next year when the new year comes, check back and see where Evolving Skies is at. Who knows? What if it's the same price? What if it's in the high 900? Maybe what if it breaks the 4-digit number? Anything's possible, especially in the market we're in. So do not miss out. Okay? Don't miss out. Evolving Skies is it's the one set. If I'm in position, yep, do it. Just get in on it, get a booster box. Don't let it run off without you. Okay? I've seen too many people miss the opportunity and it ran off without them. So don't be those same people. Take the opportunity. And for that, that'll be it for today. If you guys enjoyed today's video, feel free to drop a like, comment your opinion if you have a position, or if you plan on buying one. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye for now.